and welcome to today's discovery session. My name is Lucia, and I am the Acting Executive Director of DeepSense. This is our first session of the fall semester. I'm really excited to bring back our discovery sessions. Took a break over the summer. And these sessions are meant to support students, businesses, and other organizations with an understanding of how to use data and artificial intelligence. Now, before we get into it, I'd like to begin by acknowledging that DeepSense works out of Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people, and this territory is covered by the treaties of peace and friendship. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'll give you a quick little overview of what DeepSense is. DeepSense is a project based out of Dalhousie University in Halifax, Nova Scotia, but we work with universities and colleges across Atlantic Canada. We work with companies in the ocean sector who are interested in harnessing the potential of data and creating a smarter ocean economy. So we connect these companies with the next generation of AI and machine learning and data experts, a lot of students like the ones joining us today. And we create a project that best suits the company needs. We find a student to help execute that project as either a co-op or an internship, or even could be a master's project. And then we help support you along the way with our team of experts. We've done past projects in data analytics, data collection, data visualizations, data cleaning and processing, and of course, artificial intelligence and machine learning. And the projects could be anything from creating a deep learning model to help track fish, or creating a prediction model for safe navigation in the Halifax Harbour, or even a computer model that can identify whale shapes from aerial images. If you're ever interested, if you aren't already, to join DeepSense and potentially work with one of the companies that we work with on our project, I definitely suggest joining our student pool. It's on our website. I'll drop a link in the chat in a minute, but this is the best way to kind of let us know that you're interested. You submit your resume, fill out a questionnaire, and that's the first place we're going to go look once projects come up, because we can't always post projects on co-op boards just because industry works at a different pace than academia. So that's why we created our student pool. So like I said, the internships or co-op positions and projects pop up throughout the year. So definitely check out our student pool. And I'm going to pass it over to Sophie now.
Perfect, and I'm going to unmute myself. All right, so today we'll be diving into COVE, the Center of Ocean Ventures and Entrepreneurship, and their Digital Harbour project. We are joined by Levi Morrison, the Director of Innovation at COVE, where he leads and directs the development of on- and offshore infrastructure to support the commercialization efforts of clients. He is responsible for leading the advancement of innovative technical projects that serve to enable the development of new products and services in the marine sector. Levi stays current with cutting-edge technologies that are transforming marine industries and seeks to integrate these ideas into COVE's programs and services. Previously, Levi worked with Ulnaweg Education Center, overseeing the successful development and delivery of a community-first 2i theme curriculum. During his time with Lloyd's Register, he worked collaboratively to successfully deliver over 60 projects in the marine space. Levi is a professional engineer licensed in Nova Scotia and a certified project management professional. He holds a Bachelor of Civil Engineering and a Master of Applied Science from Dalhousie University, where he's also a part-time lecturer in the Civil Engineering Department. Remember, we will be taking questions at the end, so either drop them in the chat or use the Q&A box, and I will be monitoring them from now until the end of the presentation. All right, and I will hand it over to Levi now.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Sophie and Alicia. Appreciate the introduction and very happy to be part of this DeepSense Lunch and Learn session. So as mentioned, I'm going to be talking a little bit today about COVE, DeepSense overall, the projects under development, and a tad about how I got there in the first place. So I'll share my screen shortly. Perfect. And Sophie, could you confirm that you're able to see this?
Yep.
Excellent. So a little bit about myself, as Sophie had mentioned. I am currently the Director of Innovation at COVE. I started my engineering career through attending Dalhousie University at the agricultural campus out of Truro, where they had the 2-year program. After that, I attended Dalhousie University in the Halifax campus to wrap up the civil engineering degree. Immediately upon graduation, I finished civil engineering and became a structural engineer at Lloyd's Register. Lloyd's Register specializes in marine certification, and the faction that I was working out of specialized in technical analysis of all sorts of different marine-based projects. In 2016, I acquired my professional engineering designation and continued developing managerial skills and began managing small-scale projects in the digital and the marine space. In 2018, I acquired my project management professional designation, and in 2019, while working full-time, acquired my Master's of Applied Science and Engineering. In 2021, I moved from Lloyd's Register, which was a for-profit, to a nonprofit at the Unaweg Education Center. I began as their project manager of engineering, and after a few months, went as their senior project manager, managing the management staff. From Unaweg, I began working for COVE. After some time at Unaweg as their senior project manager, I was presenting at the same conference as COVE was at the time on the Stella Maris, and was certainly inspired by this project and the idea of technical excellence in a collaborative manner within the marine space. I've been lecturing at Dalhousie University since 2022. We're entering the third iteration of the course this year with the civil and the environmental engineers, looking at modern project management methodologies and how that applies to different construction projects taking place across Nova Scotia, and the need for a bottom-up approach as you approach certain different types of projects with diverse stakeholders. So a little bit about COVE. COVE is where marine innovation meets excellence. So COVE is largely where ideas become solutions, technology becomes ventures, and opportunities become careers. We seek to connect people, ideas, resources, and assets to propel solutions and sustainable growth for Canada's marine sector. So through our programs and services, we try to develop a skilled workforce, test solutions, and accelerate venture growth wherever possible. So COVE, as it stands, is an 8-acre site with 12 acres of water lot. We have 2,850 feet of docks with 49 feet of water depth. And we have roughly 50,000 square feet of office and workshop space. So if we want to zoom out, here's another picture that kind of displays our facilities as well as our docks. We develop tech for defense and security, offshore energy, fisheries and aquaculture, and marine transportation and tourism. There are 65 resident companies at COVE, and we're engaged with a network of over 3,000 total. There's direct connectivity with leading edge companies and marine technology through our working spaces. And we try to provide access to skills, talent, and capacity that deliver innovative solutions. Our innovative program pipeline is centered around skills in people development, venture growth, technology, and innovation. So we are a nonprofit, and our core mandate is to focus on addressing barriers to commercialization of ocean technologies. So a little bit about what I'll talk about today. I'm going to briefly go over an overview of what Digital Harbour is and what the focus of the project will be. I'll touch briefly about phase 1, where we are and what we may seek to achieve in future phases. The core contributions and impact that we're seeking to achieve. How we're using use cases in a bottom-up approach to build out Digital Harbour. And then finally, a little bit about our advisory committee through using this approach. So what exactly is Digital Harbour? Well, at its core, the purpose of Digital Harbour is to digitize Halifax Harbour and surrounding marine so that COVE can maximize the value delivered to the blue economy. What that looks like is a combination of opportunities, physical infrastructure, and digital infrastructure that we can provide as a service for a product development sandbox. The vision is a harbour that maximizes innovation and advancements of projects and research throughout Atlantic Canada. So COVE's Digital Harbour will digitize the Halifax Harbour with an integrated real-time system, incorporating data sourced from stationary and mobile platforms located underwater, on water surface, on land, in air, and potentially via satellite. With access to historical and up-to-the-minute data, organizations can quickly identify opportunities and challenges and make informed quantitative decisions about activities in, on, above, or near the harbour. This integrated real-time data platform will be important for businesses and organizations looking to test and develop new products. Digital Harbour also allows for a more agile and iterative testing, ensuring that products are consistently improving and adapting to meet market demands while managing the availability, usability, integrity, and security of the data used in an organization. So that all being said, let's talk about how we actually plan to achieve this, where we are now, and who the stakeholders may be. So within phase one, it's largely a scoping exercise. We want to make sure that as Digital Harbour is defined and develops, we're consulting all of those who have a vested interest in the wealth of information that the Harbour produces. So while performing these assessments of who's interested in the data, why they're interested in the data, etc., in phase one, we're building a proof of concept to display real-time data alongside ship data with CartKnife. So the proof of concept will consider the CartKnife supplied spatial awareness data from satellite imagery, collect it, and process it in phase one at a physical server located at COVE, while we consider how other data sources, such as the sensors located on the Stella Maris and the information collected from Smart Atlantic Buoy, can also be brought into the fold. As we progress the Digital Harbour project, we will be continually expanding the network within it, finding more ways to provide maximum value under the guidance of our advisory committee. So through this exercise, we'll identify more data nodes, which could sit on the seafloor, be in the water, or be attached to existing onshore infrastructure. It's all extremely use case dependent. So all of the data collected through these various nodes will return to that common virtual space of a server set up at the COVE offices, configured to deal with a huge amount of data in a variety of different formats. As we continue to understand the utility of the data we collect and continue to learn about the interest of different entities operating within the space, we'll continue to identify more nodes throughout the Harbour that connect through the existing network of data collected and transmitting assets through the Digital Harbour initiative. These nodes can be stationary, onshore, offshore, or even connected to vessels or underwater vehicles in motion. We want this network of nodes to cover as much of the Halifax Harbour as is useful to the end users, which will likely include portions of the Bedford Basin as well. So now you know a little bit about what we're going to be doing with Digital Harbour with respect to how we'd like to deal with the data, how we're looking to process the nodes, what type of nodes might be present, but what data will actually be collected. So for Digital Harbour, rather than use a top-down approach of management where we state, this is Digital Harbour, based on the Digital Harbour, we'll have 10 nodes. Based on those 10 nodes, here are 10 data sources spread across physical, chemical, biological, or spatial ocean characteristics. We're largely taking a bottom-up approach for design, starting with identifying who are the end users, who are the end stakeholders and rights holders, and what are their vested interest in here. What might be the final use cases that benefit these groups? Based on those use cases and those users, we can identify what equipment might be required within the Harbour, what equipment might be used, what sensors to select, and based off of the sensors, what platforms might be necessary. Once we know all of the platforms and how they interconnect, we then see what Digital Harbour will truly look like in the end. So it's critical to make sure that we build strong engagement with the marine community so that we can drive infrastructure maximally beneficial to the marine community. In the end, the core contributions that Digital Harbour is seeking to achieve is the provision of data collection, storage, and transmission infrastructure, the provision of insights related to the collected data to research and industry through processing and/or AI, the provision of physical infrastructure for testing of products and other services as a product development sandbox, and the provision of real-time and historical data to support research and industry activities. The core impacts that we're seeking to achieve through this is better collaboration between entities collecting data from Halifax Harbour to maximize Nova Scotia's presence in the blue economy, better collaboration and data interoperability between Halifax Harbour and other global ocean digital twinning initiatives. We want to make sure that we can benefit from the lessons that they learn as they continue to digitize the marine space. provide additional opportunities for industry and researchers to derive real-world actions and insights from that data collected. So not just about the data, but about the information that's derived from it. And then a reduction of barriers for organizations to reach commercialization of marine or marine-adjacent products. As mentioned, largely the way that we're building this out is identifying those core use cases that are of value. These use cases could be manifold. We may be looking at acoustic testing, which could necessitate acoustically conducive infrastructure, increased regulatory considerations, have their own power constraints or requirements, etc. Or depending on community feedback, we may end up looking at overall water quality, which could necessitate greater percentages of physical and biogeochemical sensors, measuring CTD, or drive the need for optical sensors on the biogeochemical front. Other use cases could include port authority sustainability, supplement to in-progress digital twins, or the use of spatial data. So as we discuss these different use cases with the marine community at large and our advisory community, we're focusing on the problems that may exist within the Halifax Harbour digital environment now, and designing the use cases so that we can contribute to solutions for those problems, right? So we're designing the project truly with the end in mind. The advisory committee is comprised of several individuals that span across different disciplines, from academia to industry to research, etc. The purpose of the advisory committee is to provide oversight, leadership, excellence, and stewardship of the Digital Harbour initiative. And its composition includes myself, Katia Fennell, who is the Department Head of Oceanography at Dalhousie, Christopher Witt, who is the President of IEEE, Richard Davis, who is the Manager of CEOTR in Dalhousie. He deals with several ocean tracking projects. Eric Siegel, who's the CIO of the Ocean Frontier Institute. Jeff Stockhausen, who's the Strategic Advisor for NRC. Nick Edwards from POW Aerospace. Corey Gleason, who's the Deputy Harbour Master with the Port of Halifax. David Thomas, who DeepSense may know well, who's the Executive Director up here. Clark Richards, who's a research scientist at BIO. Mark McIntyre, representing DRDC. And Shayla Fitzsimmons, who's the Executive Director of CEUS Atlantic. Where we are now is preliminary multi-use node design. We're looking at the different nodes that can support a variety of use cases as they continue to emerge. We're progressing the proof of concept developed with CartNav for the visual display of data being collected in the harbor real time. We're working to develop a robust and scalable data infrastructure that can support a variety of different use cases. We're continuing assessment of spatial awareness data being collected throughout Halifax Harbour and what all domain situational awareness truly looks like. And we're scoping phase 2 projects that are emerging from these use cases that we're continuing to identify. So that concludes my presentation for COVE, myself, and Digital Harbour at a high level. I'd love to open up the floor to any questions that the audience may have.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, guys, if you have any questions, either pop them in the Q&A box or the chat, and I'll relay them to Levi. I had a couple questions while you were presenting. You mentioned that you're keeping your eye out for innovative technologies and trends. What are some of those innovative technologies that you're currently keeping your eye on in the marine industry? And could you integrate those ideas into the Digital Harbour at all?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. The marine technology sector is constantly progressing at a rapid pace, and we're seeing innovations that simply weren't available 10 years ago. These include autonomous vessels. So as marine autonomy advances, unmanned surface and underwater vehicles are becoming more common tasks. More common for tasks such as data collection, inspection, surveillance, etc. These could all potentially be integrated into Digital Harbour as mobile platforms, providing real-time data from various locations without human intervention. There's various ocean energy solutions that we've seen popping up out of Canada and also out of the UK. Technologies like tidal and wave energy harnessing are making waves, pun intended, I suppose. But Digital Harbour can incorporate those for these off-grid platforms, so to say, if they're able to provide data directly in areas where data connectivity or powering might be more challenging. We're of course keeping an eye on advanced sensors and Internet of Things. As real-time sensors are developing, there's parameters that can be sensed now that just were not within the picture 5-10 years ago. These can include inferred E. coli, real-time alkalinity sensors. There's constantly thoughts around eDNA and the way that that's progressing within industry as well. And if those plumb directly to use cases or issues or areas that people are collecting data manually within the harbor, and of course, we'd love to see those as part of Digital Harbour too. Those are three of the large ones, but of course, there's areas like augmented reality, AI-driven solutions, enhanced subsea communications, which we saw displayed at COVE Demo Day, and acoustic monitoring systems and different detection mechanisms as well that we're keeping a close eye on and seeing what part they have to play.
Great, thank you. And in terms of the Digital Harbour then, what do you think that looks like in 10 years?
Ideally in 10 years, the dream would be if you are an entity that's looking for a solution to a problem and you require harbor data, then Digital Harbour is set up in a way that you no longer need additional powering infrastructure, data transmission infrastructure, or instrumentation infrastructure, or even digital infrastructure. You're able to simply collect that data and know that that can contribute towards your solution. So if you are an organization that's looking at real-time detection for any oceanographic parameter, we've set up the infrastructure to make that easier. So this would include full integration. So likely Digital Harbour would be fully integrated with national and international marine data platforms, ensuring a seamless exchange of data and insights, predictive capabilities. So once again, not just about the data, but about the information that it provides. As we continue collecting real-time data sets and having a history of those data sets, then I believe that there'll be the opportunity to predict E. coli levels or alkalinity levels or different real-time sensed parameters based off of other inputs. Enhanced user interface on top of the data collection. We want to make sure that this data is as easy to access and as user-friendly as possible. So that'll be heavy development in the user interface space. So whether you're an ocean scientist or a product developer, it's somewhat intuitive for you to use Digital Harbour. And then expanded coverage. So beyond Halifax Harbour, Digital Harbour may seek to expand its coverage to other strategic maritime points as is useful to the blue economy.
Great, thank you. And do we have any specific points in mind, or is that a bit too far out to say?
I think that would be too far out. So in staying with the bottom-up approach, we would solicit heavy stakeholder feedback and rights holder feedback to determine what those points may be, should Digital Harbour continue to expand in that direction.
Very nice. And we've had a couple questions come in. Since we're on the topic about Digital Harbour, I'm going to ask this most recent one first. It's from Jishuan, and she says, "Hi, Levi, is there a project you are most excited about for the Digital Harbour?"
Yeah, that's very challenging to pinpoint because all of the projects contribute to the core of what Digital Harbour is seeking to achieve, which is that shared physical infrastructure, that shared digital infrastructure, and eventual self-sustainability of that initiative so they can continue to maintain those assets, right? So any project that does work towards those key initiatives are ones that I'm keenly interested in for sure. But I wouldn't say that there's a priority list over the individual projects being developed.
I can imagine it's like trying to choose a favorite child. They're all so unique.
Yeah, certainly.
It's exciting to see how each of them develops and contributes to the whole Digital Harbour. Another question we have here is, what do you envision for the future of ocean tech in all of Canada? What opportunities do you see and what challenges do you foresee for that?
Yeah, that's a huge question. I think that largely I foresee a lot of research and development. So Canada has a vast coastline presenting numerous opportunities for marine research and development of technologies tailored to diverse marine ecosystems. So I can see there being far more calls to research and research projects that are taking place within the ocean space. I see further development of green marine technologies as the world continues to shift towards sustainability. There's such an immense potential in developing eco-friendly marine solutions in Canada. And of course, collaboration. So continued collaboration in the marine industry between universities, government, and businesses could continue to drive innovation and propel these new technologies to arise.
Totally makes sense. Thank you. And then we had a couple student-related questions.
Sure.
So one of our students asked if there was a way to get involved with the Digital Harbour themselves. I have here that while DeepSense will be working with some Digital Harbour projects in the future, so students may be able to join through DeepSense, but were there any other opportunities that students might pursue?
Great question. So as Digital Harbour continues to expand, and as we continue to see what use cases the blue economy would maximally benefit from, will certainly require capacity to be able to support the required development. So I would say simply to keep an eye on COVE opportunities as they arise. Please give us a follow. We generally post jobs on LinkedIn as well as list them on our site. So they're quite readily available. And if you follow COVE, then you'll see those pop through as they arise.
Awesome, great advice. And that's very applicable to kind of all ocean companies. What advice would you give to students hoping to pursue a career in the ocean industry?
Not to be too broad, but I think the core advice I would give is to stay curious. So the marine industry is extremely vast and diverse. Oftentimes people mistake entry into the marine industry for needing an oceans background, but that's not necessarily true. I mean, I have a civil engineering background and so found my way into the ocean space. So I would just say keep on top of latest research and trends and opportunities taking place throughout HRM or wherever you're located. I would say keep an interdisciplinary approach as well. So as mentioned, like a background in biology is just as valuable as a background in engineering. And the confluence of multiple fields leads to these unique insights and solutions in oceans technology because we bring those diverse perspectives together. I'd recommend networking. So there's lots of ocean technology events. Engage with professionals in the field, attend conferences, join relevant organizations. And, you know, in Canada, often opportunities will come through these connections. And hands-on. See if you can get some hands-on experience wherever you can. So if you're looking for a career within the space, I'd seek internships, co-ops or projects that allow you to work directly with marine technologies or face marine-related challenges. So practical experience within the field is invaluable.
Yes, I can definitely relate myself. I come from a finance background, and it's interesting coming into the ocean space without that ocean background, but it's imperative that we bring so many different kinds of people with different backgrounds into the ocean space to make the biggest impact we can. Speaking of different backgrounds, obviously DeepSense is an AI-focused ocean company. We have a question here that says, do you have any suggestions on how AI can be used in the first few phases of Digital Harbour?
Certainly. So Digital Harbour, as through the presentation, has a very heavy focus on data. And as mentioned, we seek to work with entities to turn that data into information. So one example would be if you were performing early pollution detection through the harbor and you simply had sensors, right, that outline that. What does it truly mean if we have different spikes in pollution at these 8 different sensors? What does that translate to? Does that translate to vessel activity? Are we getting an influx of ocean water from, you know, outside of the harbor that's showing these spikes in pollutions? What is the information behind the data? So as we continue to collect historical and real-time data sets, there will certainly be several opportunities for AI applied to it because we want to extract those insights, that information, and eventually those responses.
perfect. Well, thank you, Levi. I think that's maybe all the questions we have. I'll do my little wrap up and double check at the end that we haven't received any more questions while I'm doing that. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you so much for your time, Levi. It was really great to dive into the Digital Harbour with you. And as I mentioned before, DeepSense will be working on some of the Digital Harbour projects with COVE in the future. So if any students are interested in joining, make sure to join the DeepSense student pool for any upcoming opportunities. And that goes for the Digital Harbour and just in general for DeepSense opportunities. I believe that's already been posted in the chat. You can access the link there. I also want to mention we have this great mentorship program called the STEM Connector, which is a free flash mentorship program where you can connect with folks working in the STEM industry across Atlantic Canada. It's great. There's not that huge commitment that a lot of mentorship programs require. It's great. You can sign up today. The link is also in the chat. At DeepSense, we do a lot of fun events like this, so you can get engaged with the ocean sector, like Levi was saying. Last year, we had an Ocean of Data challenge about the Digital Harbour, and we'll be having a new data challenge this November where you can get creative and get a bit of experience and think of your own solutions to the proposed challenge. We're also planning an ocean industry crawl where you can visit COVE and other cool ocean industry sites around the HRM. So as well as following COVE on LinkedIn, be sure to follow us on LinkedIn and on Instagram to not miss any of these upcoming events. And if you've enjoyed today's discovery session, we have a whole bunch of other discovery sessions all uploaded to YouTube. This will be added to the list soon, so keep an eye out for that recording. And again, just thank you so much, Levi, for your time. It was a wonderful presentation. And thank you to everyone who's joined us today and asked some questions. We hope to see you again soon.
Fantastic. Thank you very much to DeepSense for hosting, and looking forward to following DeepSense in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much, Levi.
Thanks. Have a great day.
See you.